To all brothers and sisters who are scattered in all corners of the earth, Shalom, Sanbonani, welcome to this channel. My name is Mpumelelo. I would like to thank you for your love and for your support. I would like to thank all those who joined us and subscribed in the past week. Welcome, Karibu. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please consider to do so. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, like and share this video with friends and family. So today we are going to talk about a topic that is very complex. It is complex, it is multifaceted, it is multidimensional. You can take each dimension separately and talk about it, but I'm going to try to put everything together and summarize it. And before I get into this topic, I want you to take something into consideration. Throughout our lives, when people spoke about the final battle between all nations against Israel, or between forces that will be opposed to the children of Israel or the children of Jacob, fighting against Israel or the children of Israel, we were thinking about the modern state of Israel, the modern Jewish state of Israel. We're thinking about those people. We're thinking about nations that will rise against those people. We have come to understand that we are the Jews. We are the Israelites. We are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We've come to understand that those Jews in the modern state of Israel are the converts. They converted to Judaism. They are not the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So they actually don't have a right to be fighting in that conflict there. They don't have a right. But the Palestinians as well, there's a question about them. On condition that they don't have a right, on condition that that land is the promised land. I'm aware of a lot of people, perhaps not a lot. There are people who believe that the promised land is not the modern day Israel. But there are various views about where exactly the promised land is. That is why I don't go along with these views, because there's no agreement about where it is, and there's no evidence about where it is. So I go with the evidence that I have, and I will be willing to change if I'm persuaded with evidence, and if I can present it and be able to defend it. Right now, it is, in some instances, it's wishful thinking. In some instances, it is propositions. In some instances, it is speculation. I can't go with speculations or wishful thinking. I can work with evidence. If it's speculation, it then means more investigation has to be done. If it's wishful thinking, we all wish, and we can't do anything about a wish. We can't turn it into a reality. So, assuming that that place is Israel, the Ashkenazi who are leading that country are not the legitimate heirs to that promised land. They are not supposed to be there. The other brothers and sisters who are there, from Ethiopia, from all corners or all parts of the earth, some came from Spain, perhaps the remnants of those Jews who were exiled who were sent as slaves to Sao Tome and Principe. They call themselves the Sephardim. Others came from Yemen and the neighboring Arab states. They call themselves the Mizrahi. Maybe those are legitimate Jews, but they are not there with the permission of the Almighty. They all went there prematurely because we're supposed to be gathered first, and only after that, in the last days, when the Messiah comes, only then we are supposed to go there. So they went there prematurely, and therefore that's why they face instability. They are not supposed to be there. And there's going to be trouble for them. As they are experiencing, there's no peace. Nevertheless, coming to this topic now, I want you to consider this, but I also want you to consider something else. All our lives, what we have known is that there will be Gog, the prince of Magog. So a certain personal figure that will be coming from the land of Magog, and all his allies will wage war against Israel in the last days. Now, when we thought about this, we've always thought about Israel being the modern state of the Jewish state of Israel. We never thought of it as being ourselves, as the children and the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We never thought this war to be against us. Now we need to ask ourselves and revise our thinking. Who is Gog and who is Magog? Because we might well find out that our analysis is off the mark. If we are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who will be those nations that will be fighting against us? I'll pack this question and get to the topic of this day. The topic of this day is about South Africa taking action against Israel. As South Africa on the 29th of December 2023 filed a case against Israel, citing that Israel committed genocide in the conflict between Israel and the people of Gaza. Up to today, we are told that about 20,000 people have died in that conflict. That qualifies for a genocide, provided that all elements, the criteria of what a genocide is, the intentions, and so on, can be proven. I hope that South Africa can prove that this was genocide. This was not an act of war or the result of an act of conflict or war. Bear in mind that before that conflict, Hamas attacked Israel and about 1,200 people died. As a result, Israel retaliated, but there were conflicts before that, so they were fighting before that. And don't forget what I said, both these parties might find themselves in the wrong in the long run because that land does not belong to them. This is a controversial issue which might start another, perhaps, verbal war. But that land was promised to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they are scattered in all corners of the earth. They are not there yet. So all the people who are fighting for what doesn't belong to them. It is interesting that South Africa steps in and takes Israel to court, and the South African government will deny that they are the actual heirs of that land. They are the owners of that land, but they don't know it. Isn't it interesting? Are they moved perhaps by the Spirit of the Almighty, or are they moved by their relationship with the Palestinian people? Because there's always been this relationship with all liberation movements. we've always had solidarity with liberation movements. And South Africa and Palestine have had the same experience: occupation, aggression, and killings. So perhaps South Africa is motivated by that. But South Africa has its own issues politically and economically. South Africa was ordered by the same court that South Africa goes to, was ordered by the same court to execute a warrant of arrest against Omar al-Bashir, the former president of Sudan, who was also accused of genocide. He is believed to have been involved in the killings of over 200,000 people. Omar al-Bashir visited South Africa to attend an AU summit, African Union summit, and ICC issued a warrant of arrest, or the warrant of arrest was already issued. South Africa was supposed to execute it. South Africa showed the other finger to the ICC, did not execute, instead assisted al-Bashir to return safely to his country. But South Africa goes to the same court to complain about Israel. International politics sometimes are confusing. So when that genocide happened in Darfur, in Sudan, South Africa did not protest. South Africa did not take Omar al-Bashir to this court. But with Israel, South Africa acts quite swiftly. South Africa has taken other several steps before this one. So this is interesting. It is interesting. Now, what this means is that this is going to drag Israel to this court. On the 11th of January this year, this court will be hearing this matter. So South Africa must present a case and evidence that Israel committed genocide or had intentions of committing genocide. They knowingly committed those acts. They planned it, they executed, they had premeditated, what do they say? Oh, the genocide was premeditated. So they must prove it. Now, Israel must defend its case. But what's going to happen here is that as South Africa presents its case, it will drag the United States of America, the government of the United States of America, into this matter, because the United States is complicit. Now, in terms of this Geneva Genocide Convention of 1948, not only the state or individuals who are involved in genocide should be brought to book, but all those who are complicit. The United States is deeply involved in the politics of Israel. They are arming Israel, they are providing military advice, and they have openly supported Israel. So they will be dragged into this court, and America will not like it. The United States of America will retaliate against South Africa. So there's going to be a picture that is going to emerge, and it is emerging. It started with those countries in, the Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Gabon, expelled the involvement of the French government, and they are going it alone. And in retaliation, America sanctioned them. They expelled them from a trade deal which was established in the year 2000. The same thing is going to happen to South Africa. And the same thing has happened to some countries in the Southern African, not the Southern, Sub-Saharan region, where America has retaliated because America wants people to democratize their institutions in accordance with Western Western standards, Eurocentric standards. And African leaders are resisting these Eurocentric standards. They want their own systems. So we've seen an action has been taken against Uganda, and several countries have been implicated as well. So the same thing is going to happen to South Africa. Now, it means we are going to see a new economy emerging, perhaps some kind of unity of purpose, hopefully emerging, some form of relationship for us who are driven by the desire to see the Messiah coming, to see the children of Israel being united. Our hope is that some of these actions result in the unification of our people, that they rely on themselves because there's a lot they can do. And we hope that those who are scattered in all corners of the earth, our brothers and sisters, they assemble, they come here, they return from where they were deported, from where they were kidnapped. They must come back. Perhaps this will be the assembly point where we will either be taken to the promised land, and if we remain where we are, well, then we remain in the promised land if the borders are extended to where we are. So this is how it's going to, this is how I hope it will unfold. This is how I hope it will unfold. If that is the case, I'm hopeful and I'm excited about these events. I'm not intimidated. It will have dire implications economically, but if our leaders are wise and they leave all these personal issues behind and they start looking concretely at important issues, we will get to where we're supposed to be. If it is the hand of the Almighty, of course, He will force them in a way to work together and find a solution that we unite and we bring all our brothers together so that this becomes an assembly point. So this is what I would like you to do, to think about. Think about who is Gog and who is Magog. Think about the phenomenon that is taking place here in the sub-Saharan region, the relationship that is breaking away from the United States and the British and the France, all the European countries. What is coming ahead? What is happening? Are we moving towards the end times? Does this have anything to do with the hand of the Almighty? What do you think? What do you think? Let me know. I'd really like to hear your views. Thank you very much for your attention. Asante sana, Ngiyabonga.